Hey everyone, what is going on? I'm the SavijCoder, and in this video short, I'm going to show you how to use Git. At this time, I'm not going to go that deep into Git, but I do want to show you how to use it just so you can pull down code so that you can follow along. I am going to put a link in the description to someone else's Git explanation if you don't know anything about Git. I think that Sam over at Keep On Coding does a great job at explaining Git and how to use it and how to create branches and use commits and stuff like that. I highly recommend that you check that out. I think it'll be beneficial, but for this short, I think we're just going to go through how to pull code down so that you can follow along in these tutorials. If we open up a browser and go to github.com/noblecause-code, we can see the repository for the video series that you're watching now. So far, I only have the API up, but by the time this video goes live, I should have the website up as well. So let's take a look at how you can use this. First of note, ignore this README here. This is not episode 10. I was going to do this another way, but turns out that I think using tags on here is a better way to do it. So in this project right now, there's two tags, one for episode 10 and one for episode 11. And those are the tags at the end of the episode. So if you want the completed code for episode 11, you can pull that tag and create a branch at that point. If you want to do the work with me and start where episode 10 left off, then you would pull episode 10's tag and create a branch there, and then you would work through it with me, and you'd end up at episode 11 when you were finished. And then if you want to compare to see if you typed something wrong or you need to look at it, you can always pull episode 11, and that will be the completed point of episode 11. So today we're going to start episode 12, so I'm going to pull episode 11, and then we'll work through it, and I'll tag episode 12 at the end and push that up. So let's see how we would do that from your point of view using Git. So I already have these tools installed, but I'm going to go ahead and reinstall them with you just in case you don't know how to do it. So if we search for Git, you'll see git-scm.com. Now this is going to be instructions for Windows, so if you're working on another platform, then this will be slightly different. So if you look in this little monitor over here, you'll see a button that says download for Windows. That's the quickest way to get there. You can go to downloads and go through a whole list, but I think this is the easiest way. So I'm going to click that, and I'm going to just go to my download folder, and I'll make a folder for Git. So I'm going to uncheck only show new options because that would assume my previous settings, and you don't possibly have previous settings if this is your first time installing it. So I'm not going to make any changes to the components. Here we will choose the default editor. I usually just leave it on Vim. There are some other editors in here, but I think defaults are best here. So this is a new feature that Git is rolling out. Typically the root branch in a Git repository has historically been called master. I guess because of public opinion, the word master is not so socially accepted. I don't have a problem with the word master, but a lot of people are switching it now to main. So it's up to you. I don't have a problem either way. You can call it whatever you're comfortable with. I personally don't associate the word master with anything other than the controller of processes in programming. But if that's something sensitive to you, go for it. No problems here. So I'm going to just let Git decide. And if Git starts calling it main, then I'll just call it main, whatever it defaults to. But I'm not going to force my own terminology over the defaults at this point. On this screen, you definitely want to choose the third option and install the optional Unix tools. There are some really handy tools that are installed with this, both for Git and outside of Git, just in your command prompt. So definitely do want to do that. It does give you a little warning here about find and sort, but unless you're going out to DOS and using DOS's find and DOS's sort, it's not going to affect anything that you're doing. I've never had it be a problem, and the benefits outweigh any of those cases. For SSL, we'll use the OpenSSL library is fine. And for the checkout style, I like to check out as is and commit as is. This is if you're pulling code from maybe like a Linux system and you're on a Windows system, so the line endings when you hit return are different on Unix than they are and Linux than they are on Windows. I just say whatever they are currently, leave them that. It doesn't matter to me. We'll use the min_tty for the terminal. Fast forward merging is fine. We can get into rebases later. That might be something that you prefer, but for now we're going to leave this default. And for the credentials, we can go ahead and use the new Git credential manager. We will enable file system caching. We won't put anything experimental because I don't want anything to break on you guys. And then just hit install. I'm going to uncheck view release notes and just hit finish. All right, so Git is now installed. If you wanted to test that, you can open up a prompt and just type the word git or git -- version, and it'll tell you which version is installed. We are good to go there. I'm going to show you two ways to get the code from this and any other repo that you want, and you can decide which way you like better. The first way is through command prompt. So if you like typing at a console, this is for you. You'll have to learn Git, but this is what you'll need for now to just pull down the code. All right, so let's go ahead and set up our folder structure. So under projects, I'm going to hit new folder and type episode 12. Now what we want here is we want episode 11's code. And if you remember in episode 11, we just copied everything from 10 to 11, but that's kind of a pain. So I am going to basically copy this folder and the API, and that's it. So I'm just going to copy this folder name. You can do a rename on it and just copy. And then I'm going to go into this episode 12 we created and new folder and just paste the name. I'm not going to copy the folder because that would get all the code inside the folder. And then inside here we have two folders. We called one API and one UI. And that's all we need. So I'm going to go inside the API folder, and I want to open a Git bash in here. So I can't do that from here. I have to right-click the API folder itself. And if I do that, you can see that I have a Git bash here. And that's what we're going to do. That's going to open our Git bash, and it's going to open it already in the directory where we are. Bash is like a Linux shell with Git in it for issuing commands to Git. So in here, you're basically in Unix. So you can issue Unix commands like ls. Well, there is nothing inside this API folder right now, but if I went up a directory and did ls, you can see that the folder structure is there, and I can cd into API, etc. All right, so what we want to do is go to GitHub, and we want to grab the code for our API. So I'm going to open our GitHub page, github.com/noblecausecode. I'm going to click into the repo that I want. If you don't see that there after a while, when there will be more, you can always click repositories and look for the API under SavijCell. And here's our code. So if we click the code button and select HTTPS, we can hit this little copy icon, and it'll copy the address to this repo. Now that we have that copied, we can go back to our Git prompt, and I can type git clone, and I can right-click and paste and just hit enter. So what that did is it went out to GitHub and it downloaded the code. So if you look now, I do an ls. I have a directory called savijcell.api. If I go into that directory, then I can see all of my code in there. So I can now open that up in Visual Studio, open project, episode 12, API, and inside there is my solution file for the API. And you'll see that this is exactly where we left off. So if you want to go to a specific tag, for instance, we were talking about the tags that are in here, whether it's episode 10 or episode 11, then after you clone your repository, you want to go back to the directory where your hidden Git file is. And to see that, you just add ls-la, and that'll show you the hidden files, which start with a dot. So as long as you're in the directory with a .git, now you can choose the tag that you want. We'll check out a branch by tag. So we'll say git checkout tags episode 11, and then we'll put a -b and we'll give it a name of episode 12-start, because this is really episode 11 at the end, which is the start of 12. So I'm just giving it a local, and this name is arbitrary, especially if you spell it right. Why does that look wrong? I don't know, maybe because there's no dash. And it doesn't matter what this name is. This can just be episode 12 if you want. It's up to you. It's just a local branch name. And then it says switch to that branch, and you can see all of our code is open here. We have everything that we had last time. All right, let's look at the graphical way to do that if you don't like typing command line. All right, so we're going to go to github.com/git extensions. And we'll go into the Git extensions repo under Git extensions, so click that one. And we will go ahead and scroll down the README to the download section where it says download it now. And we're going to install this MSI. Again, I already have this installed, but it's good practice. Since that's downloaded, let's go ahead and launch it. And mine says change or repair. You're going to install. So hopefully this wizard is the same on a repair or as on a change as it is for you. The first screen here, we're not going to change anything. Here, we're going to choose PuTTY. If you want to let them collect information about how you use Git extensions so they can make it better, you can. I'm going to uncheck that for now. Just go ahead and leave the rest of the defaults if yours is different than mine and let it install. Let's go back to Noble Cause Code. We're going to also go back into our API, and we're going to choose HTTPS. And we're going to copy the URL. And now we're going to launch Git extensions, which I have mine pinned right here, but you can just type Git extensions and you should see it under your apps. The first time you launch this, it'll ask you for a language. Go ahead and set the language, and then I believe it puts you at this page right here. So there may be some things missing here, like username and email address are not configured. You can click on the item and just fill in your username and your email address. The rest of it should be pretty configured for you, although your merge tool and diff tool may not be set up, but that's kind of out of scope for this episode. So I'll go back over some of that and share my Git config with you guys so that you can get it set up, and we'll do an example of merging and diffing and that kind of stuff. So once you've got your username and email, click apply, click OK, and you should get to a point where everything is green on this screen. If you see things that aren't green, see if you can figure them out. If not, then do some Google searches on it or ping me and let me know how I can help. And once you change things, if they are not green, you can click save and rescan and it'll do an update. Okay. So now Git extensions is configured. So under the start, there is a clone repository. So if you've already copied from Noble Cause Savage Cell API, then this should already be filled in with your paste buffer. If it's not, just grab from that green code button, copy it, and paste it in here. One thing I did not mention is I've already gone in. I'll show you this. I've already gone in and I deleted everything inside my episode 12 SavijCell API. Everything inside that folder is gone. So let's go ahead and navigate on this second browse button to that folder, because this is where we want our code to go once we clone it. Inside API, select folder, and it's going to create this subdirectory. So here's how the whole path is going to look. So it's going to be in SavijCell API, Noble Cause SavijCell API. That sounds good. So I'm going to click clone. So it'll pull down all the code and it'll say, do you want to switch to this repo now? Yes, I do. I don't use this left column here, so I'm just going to click this left panel toggle on the toolbar and close that just to get it out of the way. So here you can see the tags. There's my episode 10 tag and my episode 11 tag. So if I want to start working, I can just create a branch by doing Control B, or you can go under Commands and create branch, which is Control B, or the easier way there is just to right click and create new branch here, which is Control B, or you can just hit Control B. Just make sure that whatever part of your repo is selected, that's where the branch is going to go. So we want to start at episode 11, not episode 10. So I'll select that and Control B, and I'll just call it episode 12 start, just like the other one. And it'll switch me into that branch. And now I am good to go. I can open up my project in 12. There's my solution. And we're ready to roll for today.